back to Power Hour. Thank you for joining us. Caring about your world and asking questions, not being content with what the media tells you because the media tells you. We're really glad to have a new guest on the program today, Mark Howitt. He is a musician, a filmmaker, and founder of what is going to be called the World Public Union, and we'll talk about that later. But on this program this day, we're going to be talking about Sandy Hook. Mark Howitt takes an investigative look at the events and controversy surrounding Sandy Hook because we cannot let it go, ladies and gentlemen. He has put together Sandy Hook, the documentary, that is amazing. It is 2 hours, and he discusses the identities of the multiple subjects, the police audio analysis, which is something of interest of mine, witness testimonies, media coverage, the Lanza family, gun ban issue, all those things together, and I thank him very, very much for joining us today. Thank you so much, Mark, for joining us in the Power Hour.
Thanks for having me on the show.
Absolutely. Now, you say that you think this is as big as the conspiracy that surrounded the death of JFK. That's quite a statement.
Yeah, well, next to the JFK, after that, there was the 9/11, event, and this seems to be of similar magnitude when it comes to American conspiracy.
Well, it's not over, that's for sure, and thanks to people like you, and I know a lot of people are standing and then standing on this issue and are not going to give up, and I really appreciate that because we cannot back down, we cannot quit following this issue because there's just so much that doesn't make sense. All right, let's start talking about what makes sense. What do we know for sure about the event that took place on December 14th? What do we know for sure?
Well, we certainly know that the media is not being straightforward with the public, and the media, I'm saying that also including the government and the authorities investigating the case, we're definitely not getting any straight answers from them, and therefore the public themselves are actually providing us with the most relevant information in regards to the case because they're doing their own investigations, and in my opinion, they're doing a lot better of a job in a lot of cases. Or in a lot of instances than the actual authorities are. There is a gag order, and apparently the police are withholding information in regards to the case. But what we've seen so far and what we know so far is that the media has definitely lied on several occasions. They've put out misinformation to confuse the public, and we definitely know. Like you said earlier, the police scanner audio is something that's of interest to you, and I believe that that's like the gold in the situation. You know what I mean? That's a source of evidence right there that proves a lot of factors. And if anybody hasn't listened to the full police audio, I would definitely encourage them to do so because there's a lot of points that are made on the police audio that should be looked at further and could even be used as evidence. So
now that's and I think a lot of people are thinking about getting a private investigator or someone to go and do the research on this, and I know a lot of people that would like to see a real investigation done, which is the biggest problem that we have, thinking that, trust them, they're law enforcement, they'll do the right thing. We know that's not necessarily true. But when we go back to what we do know happened on that date, we do know that Adam Lanza existed. We know that his mother existed. We know that his brother existed. His brother was 2 years older than he. Yeah. So Adam was 20, his brother was 22, but he hadn't seen him in years, even though he
because of the divorce.
Yeah, because of the divorce was the reason they hadn't seen each other?
Yeah, apparently his mother and father divorced, Peter and Nancy, mm-hmm. and Peter, I'm not sure how long after, but he moved to New Jersey with Ryan. So they're living in another city. And Ryan claims that he hasn't seen his younger brother, Adam, in a couple years prior.
And, it's not all that far. They do have planes and boats. They do have planes and buses and highways that could take him to Connecticut to see his brother, which I thought was very surprising. But supposedly now Adam was found with the identification of his brother on him. Now that, to me, smells, especially when his brother says, but I haven't seen my brother in years.
Yeah, well, we've heard reports that's the reason why Ryan Lanza was initially identified as the killer, as the shooter, or as a suspect, essentially. But we've also heard from the media that there's other reasons, and they haven't identified those reasons why they took Ryan into custody. So it's hard to say. I haven't really fully looked into that aspect. I've been focusing more on the other suspects that are identified on the police audio, because we clearly hear on the police audio people being detained and taken into custody. And granted, when a situation like this occurs, the police are definitely going to take in anybody who's suspicious. You know what I mean? That's a given. But the problem in this case is that the people that were taken into custody, their identities were never revealed for the most part. We know that Chris Manfredonia was detained, who was a parent of one of the kids, but there's multiple people that were detained. It wasn't just one, it was several. And from my initial counting, I counted 7 suspects in total that the police were looking for, or that they actually detained. There's essentially 3 people that are still at large. 2 were in the van. There was a purple van with suspects in ski masks and nun outfits that was reported on the police.
And nun outfits, ski masks, and nun outfits. That normally is not what we see together, is it?
Yeah, exactly. And then you hear a reporter, I think it was ABC, reporting that somebody identified one of the suspects as being dressed as a member of the clergy. So this could have been people dressed up like nuns or religious figures, but that's only 2 of the suspects that were in the purple van that we know of. There's also another suspect that was potentially still at large, and there was 2 suspects detained from the woods, where officers claim arresting people in the woods. And there's Adam Lanza inside of the school is another suspect. There's also, from my study of the police recording, there's actually 3 people in total that actually get apprehended by the police. So if you count the 3 that are apprehended, plus Adam Lanza, plus the 2 that are in the van, that's 7 people, counting the other one that's at large. So that's a lot of suspects, you know what I mean? And we haven't been told the identities of these people. The Newtown Bee, the local newspaper for Newtown, Connecticut, reported that there was an off-duty tactical officer that was detained by police. And there's a witness named Roy Lowe, who's from Newtown, who claims that he's looking directly at the suspect when he's giving his testimony to the news reporter. He's looking directly at the suspect, and he says that he's inside, like in the front of the vehicle. That's what he said. He's sitting over in the front of the police car. He didn't say in front. He said in the front of the police car. So whoever they detained was, in my opinion, sitting inside of the front of the police car, and his identity wasn't revealed because he was a member of the government. He was like an agent of some government faction, an off-duty tactical officer. So that's just one of them. And if there's other people on the police audio, you can hear other people detained around the same time. So that was a group of people that were detained, and they were likely all from the same unit, or off-duty tactical officers that say they're from another jurisdiction. They weren't even from Newtown. And the media and the authorities have not released what unit they were from, their names, what they were doing there, and you know what I mean, and what agency that they were attached to. We haven't heard any information about this. And the only other times that we've seen instances like this happen is, for instance, with Lee Harvey Oswald, when he was taken into custody by Dallas police when JFK was assassinated. He was taken into custody, and the local police didn't even know that he was a CIA agent. Mm-hmm. So with them not knowing that, he was killed a couple days later by Jack Ruby so that he wouldn't talk and spill the beans on the CIA. And they held that secret for a long time. They were only seeing documents being released now.
That's right. And don't I recall that Oxford Police Department was mentioned by a couple of the police officers?
I've never seen that myself, but yeah, it could be that they did release that information. But the point of the matter is that there was off-duty tactical officers running away from police officers, and they were detained as suspects. Yeah, so why would somebody That's the big one right there.
That is. And that really is.
Not only that, but the suspect vehicle that was parked in the front of the front of the school in the loading zone. You don't see the media telling us this, but all four car doors were open. All four doors on the car were opened, and there was 2 sweaters laying on the ground beside the car. So that indicates that more than one person exited the vehicle. And if they had their hands full with weapons, ammunition, or perhaps somebody that they were holding, carrying perhaps, they wouldn't have an arm or a hand free to close the door behind them, and they did it in a hurry. They rushed in there in a hurry to do what they had to do. So that indicates multiple suspects right there. And then after, we hear multiple suspects detained. So I think that the authorities and the government aren't releasing the information because they busted themselves.
Yeah, it is so obvious that there was, in my opinion, that there was some type of exercise going on. Now, we know there was one 20 miles away.
One of the parents showed up at the school and noticed the front glass was broken, and she heard gunshots. She started hearing gunshots, and she ran away from the school at that point in time. Now, this parent, on video, in a video testimony she gave to a news source, she says that she's the one who saw the car doors open and the sweaters that were laying around the car. And that's evidence right there. That's a witness testimony.
Right. Should be evidence right there. When we come back, let's talk about also the nurse, Sally Cox, which that one doesn't smell right either. We're going to talk about a lot of the issues involved in Sandy Hook. We'll be back after this 4-minute break. Welcome back to Power Hour. Thank you for joining us, caring about your world and asking questions and continuing to talk to people about Sandy Hook. It is so important. It's amazing how many people I talk to that have never even questioned Sandy Hook. So that's our job, to get out there and to challenge them with the thought-provoking questions that will create a situation in their own minds to where they will begin to search. And that's when we have the increase in the number of people that are going to stand and then stand. Joining me today is Mark Howitt. He has done a 2-hour incredible DVD, YouTube, on the subject of Sandy Hook. He's done a tremendous amount of work, ladies and gentlemen. It's not like he's out there selling it or promoting it or doing whatever. We're just wanting people to see it, because you will scratch your head and say, uh-oh, we got a problem with Sandy Hook. Now, you said that the issue with the car is extremely important. Why is that car so important, Mark?
That's a vital piece of evidence right there, because there is a parent testifying on video that's available on the internet, saying that she saw the car doors open and sweaters in the ground. So why then have we not seen any photographs of the car doors open? And apparently they dealt with the car later on. You know what I mean? So if they close the doors on the car, then that's tampering with evidence. We see pictures of the sweaters beside the vehicle in the aerial photographs, but I have yet to see any with the car doors open. And they also tampered with evidence when they were taking the gun out of the trunk of the car. The officer was clearly not wearing gloves when he was doing that, so he would have destroyed any fingerprints that were on that gun. So it seems like they've been tampering and destroying evidence along the way to cover their tracks. You know what I mean? Which is exactly what would happen if a government agency were caught doing something like this. They would be trying to cover it up, cover their tracks. You know what I mean?
Well, certainly. And we know more and more people now are shutting down and not talking about Sandy Hook. We had a few of the family members who were out there sort of in a jovial manner talking about it 6 hours after the death of their child, or, attending a memorial service before they were even buried, which makes absolute no sense to me. But other than that, we don't have very many people speaking out. The question is, where's the nurse? Why hasn't she been on television? Or why aren't we seeing something of the events that took place? Now, you said that there was one man who saw the car doors open and the 2 sweaters. Now, what do you think the sweaters are?
Well, the sweaters could have been to hide weapons, so it wasn't so obvious that there was large weapons being brought into the school. They could have used them to cover them. There's a couple other ideas. Like it's speculative right there, you know what I mean? Because nobody really does know why the sweaters were on the ground beside that suspect vehicle, but there was two of them. And you'd think that if Adam Lanza had all those weapons and he was running into the school, and like, how would he be able to carry the sweaters out? And just looking into this matter, I just see it as Adam was set up as a patsy. That's the way I totally see this. I believe he was killed the day before because his autopsy report says that he was dead on the 13th. Mm-hmm. And he was, and according...
Wait a minute, his autopsy report or the Social Security information?
Yeah, the Social Security death index report says that it's dated for the 13th, when the media and the authorities are telling us that he died on the 14th.
Because as far as I know, the death certificates have not been released, even though they should be public information, correct?
Yeah, there's a gag order, but like I was looking online and I found the Social Security death index, and there's other victims listed on there. It's in the documentary. It shows that Emily Parker says that she died on the 14th. His mother says that she died on the 14th, but Adam Lanza says the 13th, which is very odd. You know what I mean? If that indeed proves correct, then that means that he was killed the day before, and somebody killed his mother as well, and then drove him to the school and brought him inside of the school, and that would indicate that would be a good indication of why the car doors were open and there was two sweaters as well. Because if you got to drag a body inside of a school and weapons, you know what I mean, you're going to need as many hands as you can, and you're not going to have that many hands available to close the doors behind you when you're rushing into the school to do something like this.
All right, now, let me ask you, though, a basic question. Do we know that Adam Lanza was ever at the school? Do we actually have any evidence that he was at the school?
There's no evidence of that we've seen, just like there's no video evidence showing anybody entering the school, even though they implemented a security camera system mandatory for schools in the area. We haven't seen any video footage either, just like the case with James Holmes in Aurora. We haven't seen any of the video footage.
Okay. All right, we'll be back after this 3-minute break with the Power Hour. Mark Howitt is our guest, and you can go to thepowerhour.com and click on Sandy Hook documentary. Stay tuned. We'll be back in 3 minutes. Joyce Riley here. We're talking to our guest today who has done a documentary, and I got to tell you, Mark has done an amazing job. He's not a professional documentary maker. Well, I guess he is now, but he has done an amazing job on the documentary Sandy Hook. So please go to that and check that out after the Power Hour is over. And then we'll be talking to Doreen Hannes in the next hour, but this hour, Mark Howitt is our guest. Mark, you were talking in terms of the car with the doors being open. That's very important. Now, we don't have, other than Sally Cox, who is the nurse there, a sighting of Adam Lanza. No picture, nobody else saying they saw Adam Lanza at the school. Now, the other thing I wanted to ask you to address is, it seemed to me that we heard about the death of the mother almost at the same time we heard about the death of Adam Lanza. And it seems to me, I have to question, how did they know that the mother had died or been shot or that Adam Lanza did it? What do we know about that situation? Well,
I believe there was a tweet actually made by a certain news agency that was done early in the morning. If not early in the morning, it was right after. I remember questioning the photograph, because it was a photograph taken in front of the Lanza home, and it was done at a very suspicious time. It seems like they were expecting it, you know what I mean, that they knew to be there. They could have had advanced information about it, or they could have just been there already, you know what I mean, and setting it all up. These are all questions that people are asking now because of this. There's a lot of people that have debunked the materials that were posted before the date of the shooting online, but there's certain things that you can't edit, like you can edit content and titles of documents and videos and such after you've uploaded them, but with tweets you can't change the date or the content, you know what I mean? So that's like permanent trail on the internet. So there's all those anomalies that exist within the case. And the main point, or the main evidence too, is the police audio, you know what I mean? Like with all the suspects being detained, and you hear them even at a suspect's house at 11 a.m. when the media reported that they were at the Lanza home at 2 p.m., you know? So
interesting.
Yeah, you can hear it on the police audio. They're securing a home, they're clearing the area across the road, and that was at 11 a.m. And the news report said that it was at 2 p.m. that they entered the Lanza home. So I wonder whose house they were at, you know?
Yes, absolutely. Also, Sally Cox, who is the alleged nurse at the school for 15 years, had a couple of different stories about seeing him eye to eye, and then she said saw only his feet, and some very suspicious stories. Also said that his mother was a kindergarten teacher at the school. She made that statement, and she said she was a wonderful kindergarten teacher that anyone would like to have.
Yeah, that was actually the media reporter that made that statement, though. And because of that, it can't be proven that Sally Cox actually said that herself, because we can't question her because of the gag order. So we can never really find out, did Sally Cox truly see the killer and meet him eye to eye and then jump under her desk? Or is it the story that we see her giving to the media, saying she was already under her desk and she only saw the killer's feet?
Right, you know that was the one, the one on 60 Minutes.
I just did an interview with The Blaze, which is Glenn Beck's agency, and they actually misquoted a lot of the information. I told them in the title of the article, they said that I said there were 7 shooters, when I clearly said there were 7 suspects. They kind of, tried to make me seem like a truther, a conspiracy theorist. They were doing their routine attack on that kind of on our type of people that question the media. But when I was talking to Billy, the editor, when I was doing the interview, he told me that he tried calling that reporter, because I brought that up to him, you know what I mean? And I told him, like, we need to find out who that reporter is, what news agency she works for, and ask her, did Sally Cox tell you, you know what I mean? And when he tried calling her, he says that he never got a hold of her. So he was trying to contact her, apparently, to ask her the same question that I'm wondering. I think somebody needs to find out who that reporter is, get her name, get her agency, and ask her that. There's all sorts of people involved with this case that we need to isolate and get information from them. Some of these people are Roy Lowe, who's the witness who saw the guy.
By the way, we were going to get him on the air. Aaron tried to contact him, but his phone has been disconnected, and it appears that the gag order is in process.
Yeah, if it's disconnected, then definitely they made him change his number, because people are trying to call him to ask him the same question.
Which is, what is the reason that we brought him into context?
Yeah, like I was looking for him to contact him, and I found his number, the idea was to call him today on the show to see if he would answer and be interested to come on the air and talk about it. But you're saying his phone is disconnected, so, you know what I mean? How are we going to get a hold of him to verify that he saw somebody in the front of the vehicle? Because a lot of people are trying to debunk that. They're trying to say, oh, he was sitting in the front of in front of the police car, he was outside on the hood, or that he wasn't even inside of the police car sitting in the front seat. But we clearly hear Roy Lowe say that he's sitting in the front of the police car, and he stares right at the suspect when he's describing what he looks like. And he kind of looks at the news reporter after he's done telling him what he looks like, why don't you go and look for yourself? You're standing right here in front of me. But the news reporter didn't. We don't see video footage of that. So the news agencies were probably told, don't film the guy in the car. Don't film the guy in the car. You know what I mean? Don't report on this guy. So I bet you, though, that at least 1 or 2 of those news agencies that were flocking around the scene caught a video image of the guy sitting in the front of the police car. And we haven't seen that yet because there's a gag order against the footage or the news agency. That's my theory on that. And I think it's a very accurate theory. Because why else would somebody be sitting in the front of the police car, unless he was an agent or a police officer, a fellow law enforcement agent?
I want to say that the information that you gave me regarding The Blaze, which is Glenn Beck's online paper, that's very disconcerting to me, that they would change it in so many different areas as to make you look like you were inaccurate in the information you were saying.
I gave them detailed analysis of my evidence that I had, and they didn't include a lot of it in the article. They did include some things, but they kind of fluffed around it, you know what I mean? They didn't directly say what I was trying to say to the point. And I like to think that when I talk to people, I'm very straightforward and I don't beat around the bush. I try to be as straightforward as I can anyways, just because a lot of people can't soak in information properly. They've been programmed by the media. They've been programmed by the world. You have to really talk to people like they're almost children almost. Like, you have to be very basic, because if you start getting too technical, people get confused and they don't soak in the information. You know what I mean? You got to be very to the point, precise. And that's the way I was. I try to be like that when I do interviews. But yeah, he asked me like my political viewpoints. He asked me a lot of questions that were very important to the to what I was trying to say, and he didn't include them. Like my reply to my political views is, every single U.S. president has been related by blood except for one. That's my political view. And really, that makes sense. You know what I mean? Does voting even matter? No. Because we have electronic ballots now. They count the ballots and they count them wrong. You know what I mean? It's all predetermined. If every single U.S. president that's ever made it to presidency has been related by blood except for the one person, then don't people wonder why that is? Don't people question that and wonder if their vote even matters?
Good point. Good point. You know, going back to the whole incident that occurred there, what are your thoughts as of this point? And I want to open up the phone lines to allow some of you who've had questions that would like to ask, especially those of you who have seen the Sandy Hook documentary. If you would like to question Mark, give us a call at 855-995-6923, 855-995-6923, so we can talk about the most significant issues. I think, number one, there's no photo, there's no evidence that Adam Lanza was ever at the school, number one. We don't know who killed his mother, number two. So
I believe, because Adam Lanza and Nancy were real people, we can verify that.
Yes.
They have records at some point of their lives. But Adam Lanza just seems to have disappeared, like the media says, and there's a lot of people that were trying to find out information. I noticed that the media scoured the neighborhood trying to ask any neighbor if they knew or seen him or anything, and none of them could say yes.
That was, let me just say, in your documentary, that I was shocked at. They were asking people that live 2 doors down, do you know Adam Lanza? Their statement was, I knew him a few years ago, but he dropped off the face of the earth.
Yeah, and then you look at James Holmes in Aurora, and a lot of people just never talked to him in a while. He just seemed to distance himself all of a sudden for months prior to the shooting that happened in Colorado. And I'd like to read something actually from William Cooper's Behold a Pale Horse, from the chapter of The Secret Government. Here's an interesting one for you. Using drugs, and this was written in 1989, okay? Using drugs and hypnosis on mental patients in a process called Orion, the CIA inculcated the desire in these people to open fire on schoolyards and thus inflame the anti-gun lobby. This plan is well underway, and so far is working perfectly. The middle class is begging the government to do away with the Second Amendment. And
wow.
And
how do they spell Orion, by the way? How do they spell Orion?
Orion. There is another project of Orion where they're looking at Nazis' finding of spacecraft and stuff like that. There is a kind of like a alien craft Orion project, but the Orion project fits under the umbrella of MKUltra, which I know you're familiar with. So Orion is essentially just a branch of MKUltra, and William Cooper goes on to explain, I bet you if you do an autopsy on these suspects, that they have implants in their brain. Do you know what I mean? Check the back of their heads for implants and stuff like that. But if you look at RFK, Robert Kennedy's assassination, that was a CIA job. There's surveillance footage from inside the Ambassador Hotel showing David Morales inside the building. And he was a known CIA agent. And he also had connections to the JFK assassination as well, because he was involved in that. And his team was involved with the JFK assassination. So you got the JFK assassination, CIA involvement. You got the RFK assassination, CIA involvement. And then you have Sirhan, who doesn't claim to remember the shooting. He seemed to be in a trance, and it's been proven in more recent years that, you know what I mean, he could have been under hypnosis, which he claims he was. Now, James Holmes is also saying the same thing from Colorado. He's saying he doesn't remember it. He hasn't even pleaded guilty because he doesn't claim to remember doing the shooting. You know what I mean? So he's showing signs of this CIA Orion project where they're taking people and training them and preparing them to do something like this. And maybe that's why these people are just go missing for the years prior to the attacks, or months prior. Maybe and I've looked at the CIA website, and in order to become a CIA agent, you have to be especially gifted in some sort of educational field. You have to be gifted in some sort of area. And Adam Lanza was gifted in computers, apparently, computer technology.
Even though he was not on Facebook or Twitter?
Yeah, which is strange. That's almost like the CIA, you know what I mean? Like, not the CIA exactly, but I mean, they would want to erase his digital imprint if they were going to do something like this, which would kind of, if he was so much into computers, then that would explain why there's no record of him anywhere. And also with James Holmes, it seems like there was a bunch of social accounts made for him just prior to the shooting, a few months prior, that made him out to seem like he was guilty. And they could have been made by anybody, you know what I mean? They could have just been made and put up there so that we'd believe that it was him. And he's showing the same symptoms as Sirhan Sirhan. And Adam Lanza is apparently dead now, killed the day before the shooting. So all of this is just adding up to be another conspiracy along the lines, probably by the same shadowy people that are in the government. Obviously not the same people from the JFK, like David Morales and all them, because they're all dead now. So it's hard to hold these people accountable for their crimes because they're dead. But
right.
With this is a recent event, and like you've been saying on your show, we can't forget about this. We got to keep fighting it until we get justice.
We do. You know, I wanted to bring up, someone just sent me this from Dr. Oz's interview. He interviewed a third grader at the school, and the little guy could not say anything about what happened. And they were supposedly, Oz was supposedly told what questions he could ask the little children, and for the sake of they didn't want to have any bad memories or something like that. But he asked the little boy what he remembers, and he doesn't say anything. And then he says, when we were having the drill, have you heard that?
No.
Let me play this real quick.
This is Mark Lindsay and his grandmother, Kathy. Oh, he's in third grade.
This is Dr. Oz.
I asked all the kids what questions they want me to ask, because obviously this is a sensitive topic. So, Louis, you wanted me to ask you what you remembered from that day.
Yes. I remember that a lot of policemen were in the school. Well, a lot. I was like hiding under when we were having a drill.
Do you hear that? We were having a drill.
Yeah, and it's crazy because in my documentary I show photographs of them doing drills in their classrooms prior to the shooting.
Interesting.
Practice drills.
Okay, we'll be back after this 3-minute break. We'll take a few of your questions at 855-995-6923. We'll be right back with Mark Howitt. This is Joyce Riley. Stay tuned to the Power Hour. Welcome back to Power Hour. Thank you for joining us. Caring about Sandy Hook. You know, we need to give our disclaimer that we are concerned about Sandy Hook, the people there, the people that were harmed, the people that were injured. Whatever took place, we just want to know the truth, and we want to know why we're not being told the truth, or why we have to go to so many circuitous routes to find the truth. We just heard Dr. Oz doing an interview with one of the third graders who really, after that, didn't know what else to say, other than there were a lot of police inside the building. Now, wait a minute. I thought the children had been evacuated. So that doesn't make any sense. He said there were a lot of policemen inside the building, and we were having a drill. I kind of think that's the answer. Before we go to the two callers, let me just add that they have now said the police are going to put a gag order on the information till June, and that they're now looking at more than one shooter. Now, is that an official statement that they're looking at more than one shooter from the police department?
Yeah, that's the latest news anyways, that they don't want to release information to the public because it might jeopardize their investigation into this other suspect shooter. The thing is, they had some people in custody already, so is the shooter still in custody and not talking? If so, then what's he hiding, and who does he work for? There's a group of people, so what agency does he belong to? You know, these are all questions that we're all wondering right now. If he is still in custody, that is. Maybe did they let everybody go? We don't know, because the media hasn't told us. The authorities investigating the matter haven't told us. They said they released Chris Manfredonia, but they never told the public if they released the agent or the other people that they detained. That's indicated on the police audio recording. And
I also want to quickly mention the coroner situation, the Carver, Wayne Carver. This is so bizarre. That guy was so bizarre. I was just going to bring
him up, actually.
Oh, okay. And that I do have the picture of the coroner there in the, it appears to be Las Vegas. Go ahead.
The Vegas casino photograph?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and he kind of gives us clues in his medical statement, the report that he gave to the media there, that 15-minute whatever you want to call that. He kind of gave us a lot of clues in there as to what happened almost. The officers in behind him, the one in particular on the right side with the mustache, seems to be hiding behind the other officer several times, trying to hide laughter. And Carver's going on in detail about things and really strange answers. And if you break it down, he kind of gives clues. He says, I hope my staff and I hope the people of Newtown don't have it come crashing down on their head later.
Oh, wow.
What did he mean by that?
Yeah, no kidding. Let's go to some callers. Ken in Virginia. Ken in Virginia, you're on. Oh, I'll tell you what. No, wait a second. John, I apologize. Let me take the Connecticut call first. I want to make sure we get it. Marianne in Connecticut, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Hi, Joyce.
Hi there.
Hi. I haven't seen the video that Mark has done, but the question that I have for him is, have you considered that Adam and Ryan might be the same person?
Not so much, because there is a record of Adam Lanza and Ryan Lanza.
Yeah, because they are listed, especially on the divorce.
They are, okay.
Yeah, they're separate people on record. Adam Lanza definitely existed, but the thing is, we don't have any record of him for the last couple years. And Ryan, we have a record of him. He's left his imprint, and his father even. So it's very strange, you know what I mean? Adam Lanza just disappearing for the last couple years. That's the question we're wondering, you know?
Okay. And how far are you away from Sandy Hook?
About 40 miles.
Oh, I hope you do your investigation. I hope you go over there and just talk to people at the convenience store or whatever and say, wow, there's a lot of questions people are asking about this.
Do you know anybody that was involved in the shooting? Or anybody that's related to anybody or anything like that?
I work with somebody who knows one of the instructors.
Ooh. I'll tell you what, do your homework and find out what's going on and call us back or give John your phone number if we can talk to you, because I think we need to do as much as we can. We'll be back 1 minute, 10 seconds. Welcome back to Power Hour. Thank you for joining us, caring about your world. We're talking to our guest today, Mark Howitt. You can see his 2-hour documentary. It is worth it. Let me tell you, it is worth it. Let's go to, let's see, we were talking to Marianne in Connecticut. I hope she gives us our phone number so that we can stay in touch. We need to be talking to people in Connecticut to find out what's happening there. I don't care how minor the contact might be. It may turn out to be something really important. Let's go to Doug in Texas. Doug, you're on the air. Go ahead, please, with Mark Howitt.
Hey, good morning, Joyce. Yeah, I was on the internet recently on a website that showed ground level photos of the incident, and there was a picture with there's a guy, I think his name is Gene Rosen, and in the background, and he was a guy that kind of was involved with his kids some way, and in the background of that picture, there was a big electronic sign that said, please check in here, showing people where to check in for this apparent staged event. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Okay, let me ask, have you seen that, Mark?
I don't think so.
That's kind of interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, if that's what it's saying, but it could be for people that were coming to the scene, maybe paramedics, fire department, maybe they had to sign in to let them know they're there or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it could be after the event also, maybe for the parents, like you say.
That's one thing about the investigation is when it happened, like a lot of news reports were coming out that were later proven to be false, et cetera, et cetera. But a lot of the video footage we have come from different times, you know what I mean? So the people running in the forest, there's a lot of people claiming that it's actually later on in the day, as opposed to on the police recording when the suspects are detained. There's news helicopter footage of people running in the forest, and apparently from the shadow lines, it seems like it's a bit later, like around noonish. And the police audio recording, you hear the suspects detained at around 9:45 to 9:51 p.m. or a.m. Sorry. So that's one thing. If you look at the shadows on the videos, you could tell what time it is to kind of get a good apprehension for what time of the day it was.
And did you notice also that there was, speaking of time, that one of the teachers said they didn't get out of the closet till 1 p.m. I just could not believe that statement.
I think the nurse was hiding too for a long time before she escaped. The thing is with this case is there's a couple possible solution or explanations for what happened. And the first one is that it was all staged, that nobody died, and that everybody was playing a part in a staged event to try to, like a false flag event. You know what I mean? And the other possible scenario is that the people did die, and there was a shooting, and the children did die, and that there was a lot of people affected by it. And there's another possible scenario too, is that the children did not die, but the parents were told they did, and that's why they weren't allowed to see the bodies. And that kind of plays in, I don't know if you're familiar with Kathy O'Brien, how she said she was raised from a young age and sexually abused as a slave by the government and agents of members of agencies.
Right. I think a lot of our people are familiar with her story.
Yeah, so like there is actually children, like look it up, it's documented that children are raised from a young age where they don't know their surroundings yet.
Okay, let me just add on the Kathy O'Brien story, I've not seen any documentation. I've challenged them on that, and I've not seen. That is purely her story.
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure everybody understands that. We're not talking about a documented story.
There's other cases, though, where children were like thought to have been kidnapped by members of the government for reasons like this, and the MK Ultra experiments, when they're experimenting on children too, like that's pretty. The government's been killing children for many years, and it's just that's the thing, you know. It either happened or it didn't, and that's the big division line here.
Yeah, and I want to thank you so much for being on the show today. We need to follow up on this with any new information. We will continue to follow this story. We didn't even get to the police recordings that you all will want to hear on his documentary at Sandy Hook. He's a musician also. I didn't get your information on your music, so we could add that to the email blast if you send it to me. But you have a band, don't you?
Yeah, I'm in a few musical projects. I run a record label. I'm pretty involved with the music industry, like not mainstream or anything like that. I do like heavy metal, so it's pretty underground stuff.
No Moon River stuff like that. Stuff like that. All right. Thank you very much, Mark, for joining us in the Power Hour today. We'll be back. 3-minute break. Stay tuned. It's all about the truth. Hi, this is Joyce Riley, and most of you already know how Miracle 2 products can be used in the garden to control pests, help your flowers and vegetables absorb nutrients, and promote growth. Most of you already know how it cleans around the house without harsh chemicals or toxins, cutting through grease and leaving your hands soft and healthy. Most of you already know how the moisturizing soap and neutralizer leaves your hair and skin feeling fresh and clean. And for those of you who've never tried Miracle 2, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people agree that Miracle 2 soap is a miracle. Call 877-817-9829. That's 877-817-9829 and try Miracle 2 products today. The 76 startup package includes all 5 of the Miracle 2 products, an $80 value, only $76, and that includes the shipping. Call 877-817-9829, 877-817-9829, and order your Miracle 2 products today. Then you'll know why so many people say it's not just soap, it's a miracle.
Thomas Jefferson once said, "When the people fear their government, there is tyranny. When the government fears the people, there is liberty." Our God-given right to life and liberty and the right to determine what is best for our lives and our family's health are in jeopardy. If we the people do not diligently assert these rights, they may be taken away and lost forever. Utopia Silver is known for fighting for health freedom, and we will not meekly allow ourselves to be led as lambs to the slaughter. Sitting passively by and accepting the chains of slavery that are being placed on America is not an option. Please stand with Utopia Silver in this fight. Utopia Silver carries some of the most effective colloidal silver products on the market and numerous other high-quality health supplements. Visit us today at utopiasilver.com. That's UTOPIA, utopiasilver.com. Or call us today at 1-888-213-4338. 1-888-213-4338.